Do not adjust your digital device. What you are about to see and hear may shock and appall you. Join our hosts as they encounter countless thrills, spills, chills, and hilarity as they explore the very weirdest in pop culture. The following media is so strange, so beyond the scope of what is normal, it will make you ask the question, why does this exist?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Why Does This Exist? Chris.
I'm Rob.
And today we are joined by our very special guest who has not been on here for quite some time. It's also, well, technically WrestleMania week. It is as Monday Night Raw after Mania goes on and all of the big surprises and wacky things that are going on. We are here slaving away with none other than Spaceman Frank.
Yes, just like one of the stars of this movie, Bill Goldberg. I only show up for big events.
Oh, Jesus. And occasionally you almost kill our heroes.
Yes.
Of course, after you concussed yourself. But didn't tell anybody. Didn't bother to let anyone know, hey, I think I have a concussion. What'd you do? Oh, I banged my head into a door on purpose. Oh, well, that will do that. But today we are talking about the movie Ready to Rumble. This is our big WrestleMania show. We'll be doing Ready to Rumble, which is a movie basically told you why you should stop watching WCW, and it killed David Arquette's career, basically ever.
Well, it didn't really matter.
Things.
He was married to Courtney Cox. He had freaking plenty of money, so I don't think he really cared.
Yeah. You know, I bet you the divorce, he probably came out on top, so they probably just agreed to, not do anything too messy.
I'm pretty sure he still gets royalties from Friends.
Oh, he probably does. That's pretty
If he doesn't, he at least knows every Scream well, no, because spoiler alert, the new Scream, he doesn't make it, but
I honestly didn't even know that there was a new Scream.
Yeah, they rebooted it and they brought him back and he's dead. Maybe.
I saw I remember seeing a poster for it in the movie theater, but it was in a little Anytown USA town in New Jersey. I don't even remember the name of the damn town. But, I saw a poster for it, and because it was one of those 3 or 4 movie theaters, it had the Little League poster of the actual Little League team town somewhere. So I figured that it was just this is we're every Friday we do or once a month we play a retro movie just to get people into the theater because it needs to make money somehow. So, I just thought that it was we're screening the original Scream for some reason next week. That's our big family movie of the month, or retro movie of the month. Not knowing that it was, I guess now I've realized from this conversation that it was a poster for the new Scream. But, yeah, there you go. Anyway, we are, Why Does This Exist? We are a podcast that speaks about the very weirdest in pop culture. It is myself and Rob's attempt to take over the world. One of us is a genius, the other's insane. And if you've been listening the whole time, then you've been chronologically following one of our descents into madness. But there's plenty of other ways to support the show other than just listening to it on the multitude of platforms that we're on. You can support us by heading over to Patreon and giving us some money, because that's really swell. You can give us as little as $1, as much as $10,000. That would force us to review the album Lulu, the collaboration of Lou Reed and Metallica. It is that bad, and we really do not want to do it. So we have put a seemingly impossible goal on our agenda. And the upside to that is, well, if we're going to do this, we want to get paid, baby. For God's sakes, Rob has 367 children to support, so that can go a long way. Poor wife she only goes on vacation when she's in the emergency room. They know my first name. She knows the doctors on a first-hand account. After about 2 hours after she delivers, they're right there with the pina coladas. They already know what's going on. They let her out the door about 20 minutes later, and they say, "All right, we'll see you next week." This happens so frequently that the ER is known as Spa Day in that household. So if you really want to help Rob support his ever-growing family, you please head over to patreon.com/whydoesthisexist and be sure to give us as little as $1 or as much as you want, actually, and you'll be able to join the Discord server, and you'll get to yell at us and do all kinds of things, and you can even have a conversation with us and just see how we actually are. You can also follow us on social media at twitter.com/WDTEpod. We don't normally use Twitter too much because it is, of course, a cesspool of insanity, and very bad people. Maybe we do a bit more now that Elon Musk has bought 9% of the company. So we'll see about that. We start to change a little bit. Craziness starts to get subdued a little bit. You can also find us on Facebook, where people are less crazy and a lot more, well, normal, if you could call it that. It's Facebook.com/whydoesthisexistpod. If you want to support us in private, you can absolutely do that by sending us an email or a tip or just anything that you thought was interesting that you'd like us to speak about by emailing us at whydoesthisexistshow@gmail.com. And you can also head on over to whydoesthisexistpod.com, and you'll see a bunch of extra articles and content, and you can listen to all of our episodes while, in fact, checking out our articles. We've got a swell guy named Tony who ends up writing a lot of the content for us. He's got some pretty cool stuff on the Bandween, and he's even got some related things coming out soon. So stay tuned for that. We're really trying our best to get this content up. But if you could give us a few bucks on Patreon, that would be really great. Patreon.com/whydoesthisexist. And if you want to just listen to us in the regular way, you could do that. But you can also help give us some money by finding us on YouTube. The channel is the same thing. Why Does This Exist? With a question mark at the end. Subscribe to our channel. Like our stuff. Comment on everything. Give us feedback and tell us if you like the show or if you think we should do better. And we'll try to do better, because that'll help us be better people and or hosts. And eventually we can get enough subscribers to maybe make money. But we much rather do it through the Patreon means. You can also support us on our new home, Spreaker. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, Pandora, Alexa, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Player FM, Listen Notes, Stitcher, and our new friends, CastBox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, and Geo7. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Maybe it's Geo7. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name, but you should probably change the name of your company. That's the news. Here's the weather. You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge from a ragtag group of rogues. Let's get on with the goddamn show. Ready to rumble. This thing.
This film, most directly responsible for the fall of WCW.
Yes, one could say that this might have been one of the first few nails in the WCW coffin. I would say the fifth one is probably Vince Russo coming in, but
everything surrounding this movie, the fact that they fucking decided to put the World Heavyweight Championship on David Arquette on TV.
Yeah,
I would consider this maybe not the nail in the coffin, more like the eye of the storm of shit that caused WCW in 2000 to lose $50 million. Like, this movie did make its budget back
in a year.
Yeah, and Vince Russo showed up at this time, and David Arquette, like you said, won the championship. Like, it's all kind of, this is like the fulcrum point. This is the fulcrum of madness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the hilarious thing about it too is now David Arquette is like a serious professional wrestler. Like, he actually just does that. Doesn't even act anymore. He just fucking wrestles.
Yeah, which I think is cool. Like,
yeah.
Have either of you seen the You Can't Kill David Arquette documentary?
I've heard of it. I haven't watched it, but I heard it was very good.
I believe it's free on Amazon.
I've seen it on Hulu for free also. It's really awesome. He's like, this guy, like, the guy really, like, it is a true redemption story in every sense of the word. Like, I have to hand it to him. And he's actually pretty good. Like, as far as, like, you know, an indie wrestler goes. He's pretty decent.
Yeah, like, it's a little cheesy and contrived. It's still way better than this movie. And when it gets real, it gets really real. I'm just what the fuck am I watching?
It is a wild ride.
Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. And, you know, like I said, better than this movie.
Yes, Ready to Rumble is a wild ride for other reasons.
Yeah.
For not the right reason.
No, I had watched this for the first time. This came out in 2000. I was probably about 11 years old. And my friend Lewis, who I was trying to get to be on this show, but he declined because he goes early. That's the excuse I was given. No, I'm in bed by then, so couldn't be bothered to be on the show.
You just didn't want to watch this again.
Probably. We were going there to be. We were going with our families were going apple picking, and we were watching this in the car, and we were cracking up. I forgot how politically incorrect this movie was, and it has aged very, very badly. And now this has become one of those guilty pleasure movies where it's like, I cannot believe that I legitimately like this. We knew that it was a bad movie. Like at the
I wouldn't
even at 11 years old, I knew that this was not a cinematic masterpiece. But
I wouldn't even call this a guilty pleasure movie. Like, we watched this, and I was just like, it's bad in a way that it's not like fun to rewatch. It's just like, oh, okay, they made that joke. Like, you know, it's not that cheesy level. It's just like, oh, this is zero effort across the board.
Yes.
Something is, it's identical to every single late 90s low comedy movie. They're all the same. They'll have basically the same plot. This just has the professional wrestling angle with it. But otherwise, it's it's the most generic cookie cutter buddy comedy of the late 90s, pretty much. And like every stupid, every joke, oh, there's a poop joke, haha. You know, it's like freaking Joe Dirt, level. It's just toilet humor.
I mean, even from the very beginning, their jobs is that they're a porta potty toilet septic tank business. It was a poop from the start.
Yeah, and within the first 10 minutes, David Arquette is sticking his thumb up his butt in order to get a free Slurpee that probably cost in $2,000 49 cents.
Yeah.
You don't need to be doing this. Why is this happening?
I guess there's nothing to do in Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Yeah.
Which is where the movie takes place.
Which is I read apparently they basically said it in Wyoming because the villain was supposed to be Eric Bischoff, who lived in Wyoming. So that's why.
Really?
Titus Sinclair, the villain of the movie, who is somebody in The Sopranos.
Oh, Pantoliano.
Yeah, there you go. He was supposed to be Eric Bischoff, but by the time this movie actually was getting made, he was fired, and Vince Russo took over. So that's why it's in Wyoming. It was essentially supposed to be Eric Bischoff, and Eric Bischoff put all of the people he liked in the movie as extras. So all the wrestlers were Bischoff's boys, and then he got fired, but they still got to get paid, and hopefully got their SAG award or SAG cards and could get health insurance.
Yeah,
but that was a lot of like that was the logic of the movie. Like we're trying to promote WCW. This guy got fired, but we still gotta fucking make this. Let's just do our best.
Yeah. Notice how Kevin Nash and Scott Hall made absolutely sure to not be involved in this project whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Hogan, too.
Yeah, Hogan, too. Macho Man is barely in it, and it's almost
basically a cameo appearance.
Yeah, it's almost like totally it's almost completely forgettable that even in it because of so much other ridiculous crap happens throughout the movie.
Yes.
And we get maskless Rey Mysterio, which is weird.
Yes, we do.
Who apparently also got hurt making this movie. It's oh, god damn it.
And Jimmy King's stunt double was the departed Chris Kanyon.
Which, like,
is interesting.
Yeah, can we talk? We haven't really gotten to this movie. Can we talk about like how Jimmy King is apparently like undefeated, the best wrestler in the world? Like he looks like Laszlo from What We Do in the Shadows. Like, like how is he? Yeah, like how is this man the world champion? Like ridiculous winning streak. Like you have Bill Goldberg, who also had a winning streak in real life that did not compare to this. It's like, how is this man the champion?
Yes, Goldberg is reduced to his tag team partner in this.
Jimmy King was played by Oliver Platt, who's like not anywhere near a professional wrestler, and like,
nor is he in any shape. So
no,
like I heard he's supposed to be based on like basically like royalty free Jerry Lee Lawler mixed with Ric Flair.
Yeah,
and like, but both those guys have some sort of like physical fitness. Yeah, even Jerry Lawler, like. This guy, like, and then, oh my god, he starts rapping, and, like, oh my god, it's just, how, they couldn't find any, like, I get Arnold Schwarzenegger, like, he wasn't the best right now, but, like, you couldn't find someone similar to him. You couldn't find any muscular man to play this role.
They could have just gotten, like, any WCW to, like, just it plays somebody else, and nobody would probably remember.
Like, or they could have just
for God's sakes, they could have gotten Glacier of all people to do this, and I'm pretty sure it would have happened.
You know why Hogan probably wasn't in it? It's probably because he wanted to be like the Jimmy King of this movie, and they were like, "No, you're Hulk Hogan." And he's like, "Well, I'm not going to be in it then."
Oh my god! Like thinking back now, like could they not have picked like a developmental person and like basically pull a Zeus where like Jimmy King becomes a character on TV and it's like you jobbed me out on TV, brother. Like that would have made more sense. Like Oliver Platt's not showing up on WCW. They got David Arquette for that.
Yeah. Well, they did have John Cena when he was the prototype, making like very brief appearance in the background in one of the scenes, just as an extra. So,
which is just like, why was he there? I've yet to hear the story of.
I think he just happened to be working out at the gym, and they were shooting a movie there.
Yes, I think that's actually exactly what it was. It was like because they actually shot that in like I guess one of the training gyms for like WCW or something. So like he was just there working out, and like they're like, "Oh, you're going to be an extra."
Yeah. Just hilarious. So now we haven't even gotten into the plot of this movie, so I think we should start there.
Awful.
The movie, well, basically, we've got these two fellas. Actually, Frank, you're the guest. You talk.
All right.
The people are coming for your voice, not mine.
All right. So we have David Arquette and Scott Conn. I refuse to remember their character names.
Gordy and Sean, which Gordy is a terrible
Why
name.
not?
Gordy
is a terrible name.
Gordy is, in fact, one of the worst names I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, it's a name.
That's a name that you just name your child if you hate it immediately.
I was going to say, Gordy is a name. Spoiler alert, I work at an animal shelter. A particularly pitiful animal I'd probably name Gordy. Like, all right, it's okay. But anyway, so
the one-eyed, one-legged dog would get the name Gordy.
Yeah, pretty much. They are, we'll call them sanitation engineers. They have no direction in life.
They're literal shitheads.
Literal. There's a lot of shit jokes in this movie. A lot of just dripping shit,
very
drizzling
juvenile
shits.
humor.
Yes, they. After setting up their characters as the dumbest wrestling fans in the entire world, just like, hey, here's what we think of wrestling fans. Like, we're not going to treat you like human beings. You're these people, these caricatures of humanity. Somehow they get tickets, but to Nitro in Cheyenne, they go about doing dumb shit. They get there, and then probably the actual plot of the movie kicks in at this point. After like 15 minutes of like poopy fart parts, we're dumb. Here we go. Jimmy King is having a feud with the owner of WCW, Titus Sinclair. Why they couldn't get Ted Turner, we'll never know. But
he probably had anything to do.
He was just like counting his money. He was busy that day.
I would be busy by Scrooge McDuck if I were Ted Turner.
Yes, exactly. Like, he was busy, so they got Titus Sinclair, who was supposed to be Eric Bischoff. He, not so subtly, is playing to screw Jimmy King, played by Oliver Platt, a middle-aged, not very athletic-looking person, by basically having half of the roster murder him in the ring.
Oh my god, it's like a fucking beatdown, like you wouldn't believe.
For God's sakes, they even got Van Hammer in this, and if anyone even remembers that guy.
Yeah, like, it's him. DDP is the main bad guy of the movie. Like, physically, he's the main henchman, which is weird because he seems like such a nice guy in real life. Like, in this movie, he's the devil. He screws over Jimmy King. They all beat him up. Like, it's literally like a bunch of people are beating him up. Sid Vicious is beating him up. A bunch of people run in. They act like they're going to save him. Just kidding. They're going to beat the shit out of him some more. This causes our heroes, David Arquette and Scott Conn, to literally cry on the way home.
Yes, this is a big like parody of the Montreal Screwjob, which we talked about on one of the early episodes, and I think we'd honestly need a whole nother episode to just debate on whether or not that was a work or a shoot.
Yeah.
So let's not get into it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's not apparent because it's like this movie is like weird where it's like it acknowledges wrestling is fake, except for when it's like, oh, this is real. He's actually getting murdered in the ring. Yeah. Oh no. Like, they show them like calling spots and shit, but then it's like, oh, but we're going off script. Oh no. Also, thinking back, this is Nitro, but I don't remember them like showing cameras filming this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like a dirty amphitheater, like middle of nowhere. They decide to murder Jimmy King, our hero. Our other heroes are crying, weeping, distraught. You know, they sang the rap. They stole some seats to get closer to watch their hero get murdered. They crashed their poop truck because they drove their work vehicle to this event, which, like, I feel like now would be like, oh no, why would you do this? And then
I don't understand how neither of them have normal cars.
Yeah, like
they're losers. Like, they like fucking drive a poop truck for a living.
Yeah, they talk about how they inherited the poop truck, and like that's basically the poop truck is the only source of income they have. Yeah. Owning this truck is the only way they make money. So of course they flip it the fuck over, crying over their fallen hero. The cops show up, and meanwhile, David Arquette's dad, I think, is a cop who pulls a gun on them frequently to a distressing degree. Yes. he seems unwell. He talks about how it's like, you know, your sister shot somebody today. I was very proud of her. It's like, oh no, that does not age well.
Well, later on, he just like shoots the refrigerator, and like all sorts of like juices pouring out. Like this man is,
like oddly homoerotic.
Yeah,
He keeps like grabbing their balls and stuff. Too.
He constantly molests his son's best friend, which is a great way to bond with your son, I guess. But anyway, I think they show up, and then like a toilet paper truck shows up and like
crashes.
Yeah, it crashes, and it just has a bunch of loose toilet paper. They take this as a sign that they need to help their hero. As opposed to like being like, hey, we almost died in a car accident. Maybe we should do something with our lives. Like, we've destroyed our source of income. Maybe now is the time to actually apply ourselves. You know, my dad keeps telling me to become a cop. Maybe if I just do that and, you know, pay down some bills and, you know, figure out what. Nope, we're going to save our hero. And that's kind of, I would say, Act 1. You know, a whole bunch of nothing. The best part is like, hey, remember when Bill Goldberg was a young man? Remember when all these people were young? That's kind of nice.
Yeah. The time DDP was probably like 45.
Yeah, comparatively young.
Well, yeah, it's comparatively young to now, which he is in fantastic shape, but he does look rather crypt keeperly.
Yeah, his face is a little craggly, but you know,
honestly, like watching this movie, I just kept thinking, like, man, he should have cut his hair short way earlier, because like the curly hair mullet. Same with Sid Vicious.
Oh my God, Sid Vicious.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Yeah, seeing them in this movie, it's just like, man, if you just cut your hair, you would have looked like I would have been like, oh yeah, DDP world champion. Sid Vicious, like, even more world championships, but he just looks like a pool-headed motherfucker. Like, I can't take you seriously, man. I know you're like taller than me and just would destroy me, but I just, but anyway.
He's also a big softball aficionado. He actually softball more than wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, good for him.
Yeah.
But, I mean, shave those sideburns, the both of you. So, after way too long, they track down Jimmy King. There's like, they get the Shermanator from American Pie.
Yep.
He basically doxes Jimmy King.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Oh yeah.
And his father, and he's terrified of his father, who thinks that everything that anybody does is a person.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just a whole bunch of shit. Like, this movie is like, hey, like, here's like 5 minutes of plot surrounded by like 20 minutes of nonsense.
Like, they end up because they have no vehicle, they end up hitchhiking cross country with. They teach to play Running with the Devil by Van Halen, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
It turns out that the nuns were farting the whole time because why not throw another poop joke in this?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and it's also like, wow, they played like half of Running with the Devil, essentially. They started acoustically and then they like play it in case you're like, what is this song again? Oh yeah, the very popular song Running with the Devil by Van Halen. You know, You get it? We spent 3 minutes of this movie on this.
Because they're nuns. That's what makes it funny, because they're nuns.
And they're running with the devil. Hoy, 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 get it?
Yeah, it's just like, this is very drawn out. And then, anyway, so they end up this is supposed to be a comedy for everyone who's been paying attention the whole time.
Yes, this is not a dramedy. This is not a romantic dramedy. This isn't even a documentary dramedy. It is indeed a comedy.
Yes, it's not even based on a true story.
Yet.
Yeah, right. Anyway, so they end up going down to Jimmy King's castle, if you want to call it that. And they meet one of his ex-wives. I forget if they mentioned that he was married a second time, but he
was married multiple times.
Yeah,
I think they say.
Yeah.
Anyway, they meet his I guess his most recent ex-wife, played by Carolyn Ray.
Sabrina's aunt.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm not sure if she recovered after that. Anyway, she's there. She basically tells him, well, he's an asshole, and he left me, and he stuck me with this mortgage and all these bills and everything, and now I'm broke. And he also gave me crabs because he cheated on me. And she's like, do you want to see the crabs? And David Arquette is like, yeah, okay. And then they don't do it, because then they meet the prince, his son, who has a terrible tooth decay and homemade that I think are wooden.
Yeah. Somehow even in worse shape than his dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then they find Jimmy King in a trailer park dressing in drag, and because of we've got to do a horrible politically incorrect joke. Let's do a gay joke because that's funny. And it's just it's something like, what if the king's a queen? Oh, say it ain't so. And it's really, that be the worst possible thing that your hero's into, other than everything that you just heard from his ex-wife and his son about how he's a loser?
Yeah, even the person our heroes are supposed to be their hero. This is supposed to be the man, and he's just the worst human being ever.
He's really honestly such a loser.
Right. You're supposed the movie tries to build it up where you want to root for it's trying to tell you that Jimmy King is the good guy, but if you keep adding to the list of felonies throughout the movie that the three of them commit, WCW is just trying to run a legitimate business. Tyson Sinclair is in the right here for doing what he did, because Jimmy King is also revealed that he's it comes to fruition pretty quickly that he's a drunk, and that he's drunk at the tapings, and that he's drunk.
Yeah, he's wrestle drunk, which is
yeah. So it's they had every right to do what they did to him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not only are wrestling fans losers, wrestlers themselves are losers. Come watch WCW.
Yeah. It's almost like they were trying to purposely kill themselves, WCW with this. It's they're literally just showing it's a terrible movie, and it's they're showing how bad everything in the wrestling industry is. Oh yeah, look, wrestlers are fucking drunks, and
and they cheat on their wives.
Yeah, and wrestling fans are fucking idiots, complete idiots. It's there is a long-standing theory that Vince Russo has refuted. There's a long-standing theory that Vince Russo was a double agent in WCW. Yes,
purposely,
I have heard this theory,
and purposely tried to destroy that company, and was being paid by Vince McMahon on the side to destroy WCW from within. He's refuted that, and at this point, it really wouldn't make a difference if he did, if it really was the case, and he said yes because Vince McMahon owns WCW. Yeah, but he has stuck to his guns on that one and said that he was not being paid by both ends to kill WCW.
I feel like there's enough evidence of wrestling being stupid with or without Vince Russo that I feel he probably just screwed it up on his own. He didn't need extra motivation. Especially
if you look at WCW's track record. There's an entire book called The Death of WCW by the folks who, by the Wrestle Crap folks who have also written the book Wrestle Crap, the very worst in pro wrestling. And honestly, both books are freaking hysterical because it tells you the story in a very satirical way, and it's really great. It's the perfect way. It's this book is written in the perfect voice for what's going on. And they really nailed how stupid everything is.
I do believe they cover a little bit of this movie, so
yes, they do. It's part of the one-page chapter in the book. Vince Russo presents how to lose $100 million in 1 year, like that. And it just details all of them. It's how from him being hired by WCW to how quickly the company is just destroyed. So I strongly suggest that you read that book.
Instead of watching this movie.
Yes, read The Death of WCW, wherever you are in social media of Iceland. I'm sure there's an audio book by now. So you can listen to it while you're driving to work if you are one of the people who has to commute every day, or if you're just sitting at home doing your work remotely, then you could just have this on in the background.
Yes.
But
and then
anyway, they continue.
Yeah, so they convinced Jimmy King to break into a new Nitro, which I guess is still within driving distance, because they drive him in a porta potty in a different truck they have? Unexplained.
I think they drive his mobile RV home thing.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, and they hide him in a porta potty, and they comment. I guess they beat up a couple of they beat up a couple of the other people doing the porta potty hauling, and they just steal their uniforms.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think they just kept their uniforms from the beginning of the movie.
Oh, probably,
basically.
And then somehow it's just the same as everybody else who's whatever.
Yeah,
I guess the porta potty industry only has one uniform.
Yeah, they're delivering a single porta potty. Like, guys, we just need one more. We just need one more while the show is going on. While all this is happening, probably my favorite scene in the movie, the two boys, the two lunkheads, are just kind of casually open a door and they discover the Nitro Girls allegedly changing, and they keep talking about how they're naked, but we see that they're fully clothed.
The least that they have on is just bra.
Yeah.
Underwear.
But they just keep saying naked, naked, and it's just what? Oh my god, these poor souls. And then they finally realize there's two pervs looking at them. They're like, oh, you closed door.
I wonder if they had actually intended to film a scene where the girls were actually naked, but they didn't want to give it an R rating, so they reshot the scene with the girls dressed in bras and panties, but then they didn't bother to reshoot David Arquette, Scott Con's reactions to it. So just that, it was.
Yeah.
Well, we are.
I don't know how this would work. I don't know how this would work, but I assume changing rooms, they would have some sort of privacy section where it's you don't immediately open the main door and you can just see everyone naked. You know what I mean?
Well, it's also why the hell are they getting dressed in a fucking a tent pretty much set up in the parking lot? Does this stadium not have a locker room? What the hell?
Yeah.
And a lot of this makes no sense for a movie whose purpose was to regain the WCW fan base that it was living. This is what we got, and we're getting to Rose McGowan, who hated her time making this film and didn't want to be in it, and she just gave in after she scripted the garbage 3 times. And I guess nothing was nothing was presenting itself at the time, and she was like, "Fine, I guess I'll do this stupid thing." And this makes no sense. Her character Sasha, who I guess is supposed to be the head Nitro girl, she's based on Kimberly Page, who is also in the movie anyway, I think. So
I don't remember seeing her, but
maybe. Oh no, I'm thinking of the redhead who Shawn Michaels married.
Yeah, they have Booker T's wife is in it. They have the actual Nitro Girls plus Rose McGowan.
Yeah.
Right, couldn't they just have given one of the Nitro Girls lines if Rose McGowan didn't want to do it?
I mean, you would think if you want to promote WCW, maybe make the Nitro Girls important. I don't know. The Nitro Girls is one of those things where it's I never hear them mentioned. So how long did the Nitro Girls last? Were they in it at the death? That seems like an easy thing to cut when you're losing $100 million, but maybe not.
Yeah, I think they were added when Bischoff came in.
Yeah, but anyway, during all this, Jimmy Page, like, essentially wins, like, a hardcore match against DDP that's unofficial. And, like, this is a live...
just commit assault on the entire, like, locker room.
Yeah, they like, beat the shit out of them. Like, he fucking jumps out of the porta potty, like...
He hits him with, like, he hits DDP with the toilet seat. Like, there's assault and battery right there. They commit various felonies on national television.
But it's a work, so it's okay.
And breaking and entering, and that's trespassing. Like, guys would be going to prison at the end of the night for a very long time.
Yeah, essentially it's just like, see, we caught it on camera, I pinned him, and they're like, damn it, you're right. I guess we gotta fix this, because the cameras are rolling.
Meanwhile, the cameramen are looking at each other, and they're like, yeah, King's not in the script.
Yeah. It's like, instead of being like, oh my god, we'll never mention Jimmy King again, this is not a travesty, what the fuck do we do? Like, just ignore that, he's a degenerate. And also, here's some real life statistics about him, and his tax evasion, and his multiple wives, and his history of showing up drunk. Instead, they're like, you know what? We're going to do a pay-per-view. If he wins, he's back, and he also gets $1 million and the belt. They just throw in that $1 million just for shits and giggles, it seems like.
Yeah,
and it's just like, yeah, sure, this is fine. Like, right, so I mean, like, nah, fuck, man.
Which, upon him winning, wouldn't the IRS immediately just get the $1 million and just, like, as unpaid tax payments?
Yeah.
Like, so what would the point of that even be? There would be no money.
Yeah, and, like, does DDP get $1 million if he wins? Or is it just like, yeah, like, I know you're desperate for money, so I'll give you $1 million. And DDP's like, bro, could I get some of that? Like, no, don't worry, bro.
He doesn't get anything, but, like, it's like they friggin' Jimmy King has to, like, not ever wrestle again or something is the stipulation there. Which I don't know how he could, like, stipulate that as a stipulation. It's like, okay, yeah, I'll agree to that, and then I'll go sign with WWF instead. And just...
yeah, that's like a bit waiting for, like, bro, I got a counter offer from Vince. Like, it's just like, there's only WCW for 6 more months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we also get after all this, like, it's just
we also get my favorite line where after the thing, after like the whole like schmoz, where like he magically gets the match for reasons. There's really a big party in the whole like backstage area of the arena. You know, it's like police don't show up. There's no like big like thing going on. There's no restraining order. They just have a party with the whole locker room in the backstage area, like nothing happened, including the Nitro girls, who like are somehow just like over like these two perverts just like staring at them in the locker room. They're just all hanging out, and then Mean Gene is like wasted, and he looks at Jimmy King and he goes, "Do people think I'm sexy?" And he's like, "I think I'm sexy, Mean Gene."
Well, yeah, I mean,
that's my favorite part. Poor Mean Gene even gets in on this movie.
I mean, you know, Mean Gene, he's a very handsome man. I refuse to speak ill of the dead. If Mean Gene's questioning if he's sexy or not, you're gonna, of course, say, "Of course you are, but baby boy," you know. How would you say no?
This reminds me, there was a Bret Hart action figure that I used to have, and it was a WCW Hart one because it was like it was before WWF figures became a lot more posable. So we had that, and it came with a Mean Gene action figure for some weird reason. It came with Mean Gene, and after I'm watching this movie, I used to have Mean Gene do run-ins during wrestling matches and ask the other wrestlers if they think he's sexy.
I was about to say, like, is this leading to you, like, having your Bret action figure be like, "You think I'm sexy?"
Yes.
Speaking of Bret Hart, they would
usually put him through a table and then tell him he's sexy.
Oh, God. Weirdly, speaking of Bret Hart, apparently this undefeated world champion who only lost due to like multiple shenanigans. They're like, bro, we're gonna take you to this old school wrestling guy who's definitely not Stu Hart.
Oh yeah.
We get Martin Landau and Sal Bandini, who Jack Palance was originally supposed to be. Was supposed to be Sal Bandini.
The original strongman, I should say. Yeah, it's just like Martin Landau is just like, I'm here for a paycheck.
Well, I think it's all the actors, pretty much.
Yeah,
it's just like, I'm here for a paycheck. Like Joe Pantoliano, who was actually in like films and like good movies, like, I'm just here for a paycheck.
I mean, maybe they suckered in David Arquette because he did like wrestling.
Yeah, I feel like David Arquette is the only guy who was probably like excited to do this.
This movie came out in 2000, which means that Joe Pantoliano had just done The Matrix, like literally a year before, and then he went and started this movie.
Oh, that's got hard recovery.
I mean, Scott Caan did do his own stunts, so like maybe he enjoyed himself.
I guess. I mean, he does a lot more voiceover work now.
Yeah, I mean, he technically is a part of the Ocean's franchise.
Yeah,
that's true.
He is Ocean's like 11 or 12 at best.
Yeah, well, he's got that going for him. That's those are some pretty damn good movies that. God knows how much value in residuals.
Yeah.
So he's doing right. But yeah, we meet Sal Bandini, who is who is clearly Stu Hart, and he's a crazy Italian man who is just like, we're introduced to him just basically putting this entire high school wrestling team into the hospital. One guy has like a cast in there. There's a dummy in the back room that has a full body cast on it. It's quite the sight, and he just basically like wipes the floor with Jimmy King and everybody else.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, like, so
he's my favorite character in the movie, by the way.
Yeah, like he just shoots on the champ and easily defeats him, and it's just like, Jimmy King, you didn't learn anything at all during your career. Like, even Hulk Hogan, I have to imagine, like, knew some shoot moves at some point. Like, he's just immediately gets beat up, and then it's like, oh, I'll teach you to wrestle for real, WCW longtime champion Jimmy King, and also your two young boys here.
Yeah.
And also Sasha Rose McGowan again. That's the one name I remember because I associate it with Sasha Banks. But she starts dating David Arquette to be a mole.
Yeah, she's basically just a double agent for Sinclair.
Yeah, because they needed that. They clearly needed that insider info.
Yeah,
and like
she sleeps with him somehow. And,
yes.
After the most awkward prelude to sex scene ever, where he beats the crap out of her inadvertently. So, not only are wrestling fans idiots, as this movie would have you believe, which, well, if you're listening to this show, it's pretty true. It also tries to tell you that wrestling fans are dumb, do not have any path in life, and are awkward women, which a lot of that is true, but it also tells you that they physically abuse them, which is not true. You might find a few, but that is not the case for most wrestling fans.
Also,
I can at least speak for the three of us.
Yeah. This movie taught me, like, when your partner gets naked for you, you should scream out foreign objects. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, because nothing will get her hotter than hearing that.
Yeah, exactly.
That right
David
there
Arquette
just
also
seals
has
the
this
deal.
like weird like pathology where anytime like a weapon is introduced in any sense of the word, he screams foreign objects in a really high-pitched, annoying voice.
Right. It's like they wrote it in there because they were like, oh, this is supposed to be his, like, hilarious catchphrase.
It's like he's got, like, Tourette's except for about, like, weapons.
I mean, he just seems off this entire movie.
Yeah,
like, Scott Kidd, right. Scott Kidd, like, seems to have some sort of creative control where he's just like, yeah, could you just keep my dumbness to the minimum? Like, he does agree to cry during the car crash scene. Like, David Arquette is just going all in on just something going on with his character. But, I mean, it's just wrong. It's all, like, you talk about, like, how, like, this movie could not exist. Like, you cannot have these characters exist at any other time. Like, they're just we're saying they're dumb, they're stupid, and all this stuff. It's just off-putting, especially as you're watching this, and it just keeps going. And it's like, all right, poop jokes, all this stuff, yelling foreign objects, seeing boobies, but like, there's so much stuff we're leaving out where it's just like, man, I just feel bad for these people. I can't believe grown adults were like, yes, this is fine dialogue. Did the check clear? All right, I'm good with this.
Yeah, I would like to see. I would like to understand, like, from the writer's perspective of that they thought that this was like the point of, like, the whole thing. Someone greenlit this. Like, someone looked at this and they said, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do it.
Yeah, Vince Russo.
had to. In him. Yeah, it's a business. All right.
Yeah. And then, after all this, we forgot, what's his face? Not Stu Hart gets attacked by Perry Saturn and Sid Vicious.
Oh, yeah, and he whoops him pretty badly.
Yeah.
They do end up getting him eventually.
Yeah. And that's like, all right, so that happens. That's I guess upsetting. And then
yeah, but he's like fine in the hospital.
Yeah, spoiler: at the end of the movie, he's in a hot tub with a bunch of ladies.
Yeah,
so he won the movie.
Yeah, he really did.
And then at this point, it's like.
By the way,
I guess
45 minutes left in the movie at this point.
Yeah,
it is absurdly long for no reason.
They friggin' like blend. They make this weird thing where like it's almost like you said before. They like call the spots out and they like say, you know, they imply that wrestling is fake and set up, but at the same time, like they're implying that it's real in that Titus Sinclair sends fucking Sid Vicious and Perry Saturn to actually beat the shit out of Sal Bandini and like injure him and send him to the hospital. And it's like, oh, okay, so like, they're actually just thugs that like beat the shit out of random old men. That's literally assault. Like, are we supposed to expect that this is a work or like they're literally just? Like they're actually assaulting this guy.
Like Sal has like a trapdoor in his room just in case he gets assaulted by other wrestlers. And like it's just like, where did this guy come from? It's like, oh shit, they got Saul, like the old champion or something like that. Like, oh man, he broke Lou Thesz's leg in 1953. It's like, just send him to his old man's house to beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
As he's like Looney Tunes it up.
Yeah, what I don't understand is, like, I know that they do it to, like, try to get in his lost confidence, but it's like, if he's already supposedly the best wrestler in the entire world at this point, he really wouldn't need the training at all. Like,
right.
Like, he would just be, like, good to go. There would be no training that he needs. And then they end up trying to get this guy a stable after they, I guess, graduate. They, like, go to, like, you know, they like, tell Sal Bandini, listen, we're going to fix this. We're going to sort this out, and we're going to beat that guy Sinclair. And, like, they have to, like, so they go to, like, a random bar. They just hold tryouts for, like, everyone in the town, basically. And you have all these random people just, like, doing their gimmicks that are quite awful. One guy actually shows up thinking that it's an audition for Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And they get these gimmicks that are just terrible, like Fireman Fred, who's gonna hose you. Yeah.
That's like a freaking porn star, basically.
Yeah, that's what he says. Yeah, they get Kitty, or Pretty Kitty, who just is like, they're like, she's like 90 pounds. What are they gonna do? And she like rips off her clothes, and then Jimmy King is like, what is she gonna do? Boob him to death? And it's like,
yeah.
But she shows up during the main event anyway. So
yeah, that's true.
I don't know. She is there. So like they get a couple of people, and then the guy Sean, he like, there's some girl at the burger joint that likes him for some reason and is also into wrestling, and she like sleeps with it. She like seduces him and sleeps with him. And then, because he's such a great guy, when they don't take her with him, they just dump her on the side of the road with like in the blanket while she's like totally naked. And it's like,
yeah.
It's like, and everybody and the whole like town is just like laughing, like, oh wow, they just did it. Isn't this funny? And it's like, Jesus Christ, it's another one of the many jokes that are just like that have aged very poorly, if they were even good ever.
They were never good.
No.
Clearly, as this movie stands with, let's see, a 23 on Metacritic.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah,
and an IMDb user rating of 5.3 out of 10.
Yeah,
that's pretty bad.
Generous. Just to give you a sample, here's like here's one of the audience reviews on IMDb. Half a star, ready to get retarded. By Jesse B, who is a super reviewer.
Oh boy.
So yeah, I think that kind of sums the movie up in the show.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they go and they have this match, which by the way is a triple cage match, which they've actually done twice on WCW.
To be fair, this is probably like the best part of the movie.
It is.
Like,
it is one of the
few actual wrestling points, and it actually is a good scene.
It's pure nonsense, but it's the same type of nonsense you'd probably find in wrestling in 2000.
Yeah, and the scene is a good 20 minutes. So they actually give it a good amount of time.
Yeah. I also I would like to point out the random F-bomb they dropped for no reason when Sinclair, who apropos of nothing, is talking to Sting. He's like, "You better not fuck this up." It's like, what is Sting here? We established Goldberg teamed with fucking Jimmy King and all that shit when they're looking for allies. It's just Sting, you're the guardian of WCW. You better not fuck this up. It's it's Crow Sting. Of course he's going to sign with the good guys. You're clearly in the wrong here.
Yeah, don't you watch your own program?
Yeah. You expect him to be in on the double cross? What the fuck?
Yeah.
You're going to get Mike Awesome in there?
Yeah, so I did jump around a little bit. So before they're doing the tryouts in the barn, they are also looking around the town for other WCW guys to Jimmy King and be on his side, which they do not have any luck, which leads them to go to the barn. They run into Goldberg at the gym, and of course they don't ask John Cena because it's too and how they know that the secret weapon was there the whole time, hiding in plain sight.
Super Cena comes out and pretty clears the ring, and
yes,
if only they signed him when they had the chance.
Yeah, that's how it would go if they remade this today. And thankfully they won't.
If they remade this today, they would have Jimmy King going to fucking DDP yoga because he was a drunk fucking piece of shit, and he was going to kill himself with alcohol.
Honestly,
DDP comes in and saves him.
Honestly, if they made it today, it probably wouldn't be it probably would be watchable remotely.
Jimmy King would be played by The Miz. I was trying to think who could be the actor who looks like a wrestler. It's well, I guess it's got to be The Miz.
I would see The Miz being more in the DDP role.
I feel like DDP would still play DDP.
Yeah, maybe.
Or MVP would be Titus Sinclair, and they'd have Bobby Lashley Like, that'd be a movie I'd be kind of interested in watching.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, they're talking to yokels, trying to get anyone to help them. It's not good. This is one of those things where it's like they could have cut like this entire 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Like,
and then we get to the cage match.
They don't show up during the cage match.
Yeah,
it's just
David Arquette.
They do briefly. They like walked into the ring with him, and then they're just gone after that.
Yeah, David Arquette also leaves the movie for after the tryouts.
Yeah, a whopping like 30 seconds. Then he's like, "I'm a cop now."
Yeah, he suddenly decides
that's
that
like
he's
his gimmick.
Yeah, he suddenly decides that he's going to be a cop and like in the business, and his dad is like, I guess, somewhat proud. I don't know. We also find out that big surprise when he slept with Sasha that it was his first time. We found out in a postcard that his father's reading. Which, why would you send that note to your dad?
I mean, considering how toxic his dad is, I feel like it'd be like, I'm gonna mention this in hopes that he doesn't beat me when I get home.
Yeah, like the note is the note explicitly says, New York is great, and guess what? I'm not a virgin anymore. It's like, why would you even put that in the script?
Again, that late 90s awful humor that's nobody liked.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I did laugh and cringe at the same time while I was watching the movie, but I'm laughing because I can't believe how stupid the dialogue is. I'm not laughing because it's legitimately funny. I'm laughing because I'm like, what were they thinking?
Yeah. And then the only other important part of this whole thing was Scott Caan. By the way, there was a girl who worked at like a taco fast food place.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, they maybe have sex, but it seems like
I covered that. They do have sex, and
it's like 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's like 10 seconds, and they leave her, and he leaves her on the side of the road.
I mean,
yeah.
Would it be wrong to assume that was his first time?
Well, yes, but also they both got naked and then did the deed, and then he dumped her all within 10 seconds. Like, there's a lot going on, and like, also your friends in there also driving. I don't remember if Jimmy King's there. Like, this is just...
Yeah, no, Jimmy King is driving, because at that point, Gordy had left to go become a cop.
You're making the world champion fucking drive you, and you're fucking deflowering this girl? What the fuck?
Well, I don't know. If one of you brave souls is from Cheyenne, Wyoming, can you please tell us in the YouTube comments or in private, or if you want to get in private on emailing whydoesthisexistshow@gmail.com, or if you want to give us $1 on Patreon and join the Discord at patreon.com/whydoesthisexist, and you'll join the Discord and you want to tell us over Discord if this is what happens when you lose your virginity in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Please let us know. Is this how all wrestling fans from Cheyenne, Wyoming need to know? If this is just a Wyoming thing, then I apologize for every bad thing I've said about these people throughout the show. I need to know: is this an anomaly? Is this just one area of the world? Like, geographically, what is going on with this region? I need to know. Are the people in Wyoming in Ready to Rumble, are they not an accurate representation of people in Cheyenne, Wyoming? I need to know.
Or really any bit of Wyoming.
Bring you on the show to talk about this. If you
why does this exist? Wyoming, just period.
Wyoming.
But anyway, so he leaves this lady behind. I'm assuming maybe they're in a relationship at this point. Either way, he's got some explaining to do when he gets home. Because he's also, when he shows up, he's not a wrestler, Scott Caan. He's like a pimp character?
Yeah.
He had sex once, he's a pimp.
Is that what happens in Cheyenne, Wyoming? Do you become a pimp?
He knows more than 2 women. He's a pimp. But again, this is the best part of the movie.
Is this your rite of passage in Cheyenne, Wyoming? Are you suddenly, as soon as you have sex for the first time, are you gifted with a pimp outfit? All the men in Cheyenne, Wyoming, we need to know. Women in Cheyenne, Wyoming, please let us know what happens. Is this accurate?
Also, who at this point is in charge of all the septic tanks and toilets in Wyoming?
Is it just them?
I feel like it's just them, but now they're wrestlers, so like there might be a crisis on hand.
All of the fans in Cheyenne, Wyoming are in dire trouble.
I guess we should talk about this match.
The one saving grace in the movie where it makes you forget that you just watched and you sat through an hour and 20 minutes of crap.
Literal crap.
Yeah, the match is actually quite good for what it is.
Now, they actually have done the triple cage match twice in WCW. The rules in the movie are completely different from the rules in the actual match. The rules in the movie actually make it actually makes sense. Where, okay, so it's 3 cages stacked on top of each other, like a cage pyramid.
Yeah, and it's basically a ladder match, except like the belt is hung all the way at the top of the 3rd cage, like above that, so you have to climb the entire cage to get it.
Right, and then you win. Where in the actual match, the belt is in the 3rd cage, I think. And you have to and the person who gets the belt doesn't win. They have to go all the way they have to get to all the cages, get the belt, and then they have to descend the cage and go backwards, and then exit the first cage with the belt. So,
I mean, to be fair,
so you could just sit there and just wait the person out and stand by the door, and then
just beat the shit out of him and take it and walk out the door.
And then
I mean, I feel like there's no good version of this match. Like the movie version kind of makes more sense because there's no, like you said, there's no motivation for like anyone besides like one person to like climb up and then climb down. But at the same time, like it would almost be more exciting to like see people fight it out and shit like that. But like there's no reason to.
No, the actual matches are horrible.
Yeah, and plus like they're on like fencing. It's like it's not good. No one wants to be up there.
Yeah, so this was before we have like the WWE like cages that we have now, where the Hell in a Cell cages where they can actually walk on it and they wouldn't have they wouldn't be worried about dying or falling through. Like these chain links, there were not like whoever makes the chain link fences. This was a pretty bizarre job for them, so I don't think
they were not being used as intended. So
yes, they were probably not factoring in that people would go on top of these things.
No,
where now they are because it's happened enough times where they reinforce the roofs, but not in 2000. No, count the Armageddon cage. That was better, but not as bad. Still pretty bad though. Rikishi almost fell through and died.
I just wish they weren't like painted red these days.
Yeah, it just looks more like a toy now.
I mean, I feel like that's the point. They could sell play sets. Like when they had the frequent like shark cages match because they had the play set with a shark cage.
Yeah, and they stopped doing that when it didn't sell because these matches are pretty stupid anyway.
Mm-hmm. Oh, but much like WCW matches, this movie match featured a lot of run-ins.
Oh my god. The whole match was just nothing but run-ins.
Yeah, it made me forget this was supposed to be a one-on-one match. I'm just like, oh, there's just everyone showing up at this point.
I didn't even realize that it was supposed to be because it comes in immediately.
Well, and David Arquette returns to the movie at this point in his new cop gimmick, aka the Law,
which he does have a badass entrance.
He rides in on a motorcycle and busts down the cage door and takes out I forget the friggin' Jimmy King's son. Like the motorcycle hits him and probably gravely injures him, and he gets crushed by a motorcycle.
Jimmy King.
Yeah, somehow he doesn't crash the motorcycle, crashing into this cage.
Yeah.
He just lands perfectly in the ring, doesn't kill Jimmy King's son, who I guess is a character.
Yeah, he shows up randomly, because
for the betrayal, the heel turn.
He shows up randomly because he was humiliated for having bad teeth, and he couldn't get a dentist because his dad was a deadbeat, and which. That actually makes sense as a story somehow.
Yeah.
It's still pretty stupid.
Yeah. And also, Chris Kanyon is in the crowd as just a fan, which seems kind of insulting.
Yeah, that is weird.
He's just yelling at Sinclair. It's just this person is clearly a wrestler, who also I think was Jimmy King's stunt double.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, and he's just ah!
And apparently Gregory Helms was David Arquette's stunt double.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of cool. I mean, now David Arquette could be his own stunt double, but...
Well, yeah.
But that's pretty neat. I don't know why they didn't just use them as regular wrestlers then. But, okay.
Yeah. I feel like at this point David Arquette wasn't seasoned enough to be doing the movie.
Yeah, I guess. There were also plans to do a sequel of this movie somehow, if you could believe it.
If only WCW still existed.
Yeah, if they stuck around for 2 more years, it probably would have happened. Thank God for that. Probably would have been a straight-to-video.
Oh, God. I bet you Oliver Platt wouldn't have returned.
I have no idea. But,
I mean, what has Oliver Platt been in?
I don't know.
He's been in a lot of stuff.
I mean, did this movie kill his career?
No, it killed David Arquette's career.
I mean, I suppose
Platt was in Lake Placid.
No, Oliver Platt did Chicago Fire, Chicago Justice.
He was in Dr. Dolittle, apparently, too.
Oh, he's been doing a lot of TV.
Oh shit, he's in 136 episodes of Chicago Med. So
yeah, he's doing all of the Chicago related shows lately and all their spin-offs. So he's in Chicago a lot. If you look where Oliver Platt's working, it's Chicago. He's also in Chicago PD. He did a bunch of things. Oh, I didn't know that he's been in 2-ish episodes of Modern Family as Martin, who I don't know who that is. That's interesting. Yeah, actually, he ended up having a pretty okay career after this. This didn't hurt him. He was also in Men in Black. He was also in X-Men First Class as Man.
And the West Wing.
Yeah, he was known as Man in Black Suit in X-Men First Class. I do not remember that. But, hey.
Good for him. He survived this movie.
Yes, he did survive this movie.
So I guess we should talk about the finish of this match/movie.
Yeah.
After all the run-ins, after all the shenanigans, essentially Oliver Platt and DDP are fighting at the top of the cage, this wee little platform, and then Sting shows up, as he does, because WCW. And he decides DDP's got to go, and Jimmy King should be champion again. And then Albert Platt just kind of wins after all the nonsense. That's pretty much my recollection of the main event. It's just after all the run-ins, after all the nonsense, I think DDP falls off the
DDP,
cage.
He throws Jimmy King off the cage first. And he goes flying down and lands on the second cage. And just as he's about to grab the belt, that's when Sting swings down and fucking Tarzan swings in and kicks him. And fucking DDP goes flying literally this would have probably killed DDP in real life. I think he pretty much flies from the top of the cage to the floor.
Yeah,
like,
he
I
falls
think
about
he dive.
Yeah, it looks like it's about a 25-foot drop.
Yeah, it's like worse than like Mankind is like going off Hell in the Cell. It's like a further drop than that.
Yeah, I mean, Mick Foley fell through the cell cage twice, and this is worse than that.
Yes,
but good God, it is quite bad. Thankfully, DDP is somehow not dead, and he's just woozy, and that's about it.
Yeah, and then Goldberg finally is like, "Oh, King, I want to be your tag team partner now that you're actually like the champion." And he's like, "No, my tag team partner is David Arquette." Like,
So, well, that's a bad decision.
Yeah,
this untrained guy who like just almost murdered my son. He's my tag team partner.
Oh yeah, he doesn't even want to tag with his son. He's like, "I'm sorry, son, I did this to you. By the way, I'm teaming with this other boy. You can go fuck yourself."
Yeah.
And on top of that, the fans beat Sinclair probably to death because
they like trample him.
Yeah, the fans beat him up, and they don't do any like they throw him to the crowd because he says something like, which first of all, they don't even change the nameplate on the belt, and it still says Jimmy King on it.
Yeah, they're just like, we know who's gonna win.
Yeah, and then fans and Jimmy King's like, and then Sinclair's like, I'm not giving you the belt, and without me there is no Jimmy King. I made you. You suck. And he's like, you didn't make me. The fans made me. Like,
yeah, all of a sudden it's like the fans make the wrestling. It's like, what the? We've clearly seen throughout this movie that it's basically backstage shenanigans that makes wrestling.
Yes, yeah. And then the next thing you know, they like throw Sinclair into the fans, and the fans like start like trampling this guy and mauling him. We never see him again. We eventually hear his screams, and then it fades to the next scene. So we never see Sinclair again. So I assume that he's been murdered at this show.
Oh, we forgot to mention that like Rose McGowan like comes up to David Arquette and is all apologetic and wants to get back together with him, and he basically says no because she's like betrayed them anyway.
Yeah.
And then they keep saying like, oh, watch out, and then all of a sudden like some guy who's like literally just spinning around the ring with a ladder hits her in the face, so she takes a ladder shot directly into the face.
Yes, because this movie couldn't stand to do another like abuse joke.
Yeah.
So they did that, and quite bad.
Yeah.
Quite bad. They then cut to the thing where like they start in the same convenience store as they did in the beginning. Which, by the way, the guy behind the counter is Frank Zappa's son. Which is a weird choice for him. I don't know why he did it.
Maybe he's a wrestling fan.
Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, for whatever reason, it's Ahmet Zappa just there. And Goldberg throws him, they're like telling these like 10-year-olds the story because they can't bother, because they can't talk to anybody else. And they're like, you gotta be like Jimmy King, kids, and everything awesome will happen to you, basically. And then their kids don't believe him, and then Goldberg throws Ahmet Zappa through a plate glass window of the store. Which, by the way, Goldberg is still wearing his wrestling attire. He's just in trunks and boots because
Goldberg just doesn't change. He just wears like his friggin' like his in-gear his in-ring gear like wherever he goes. He walks down the street in nothing but a fucking like tights and boots
for whatever reason, and he like throws the guy out the window. And then the kids are like, "Whoa!" And like they get, and then Kimona, one of the Nitro girls, drives up. She drives like a monster truck, basically, with I think the girl that Gordy, not Gordy, the guy, I think the girl that Sean sleeps with is in the car too or something, and they're like, "Oh, get in," and it's just them and Nitro Girls, and then the movie ends showing Sal Bandini in a hot tub with two other Nitro Girls.
Yep, they drive off into the sunset or some shit. I don't know. It's bad. It's terrible. It's so cliched.
They're gonna write out the death of WCW, baby. All this nonsense killed the business.
Yes, the company only existed for like 6 months longer.
Guys, while you were doing all this, Stone Cold came back and he's kicking ass. Fuck.
Yeah, basically.
Jimmy King, we need you to lose Goldberg. But yeah, this movie, it's that weird category of this isn't bad enough to be fun. It's just you watch it, it's like I'm good for the rest of my life. Like it's not The Room. It's not one of those movies. It's a weird time capsule where like maybe you'll have fun if you're a wrestling fan. I don't know.
I'm a wrestling fan, though. I thought it was terrible.
Exactly. Like you might be like, oh yeah, remember when these people were young? That's the best we can do.
I mean, I found myself wanting to just watch nothing but the wrestling parts. Like I didn't really give a shit about fucking David Arquette, and Scott Kahn, or Jimmy King. Like I just wanted to see like Goldberg and like friggin' like Sting and I'm like I don't care about this.
Yeah, anytime they're not at Nitro, it's fucking painful.
It is.
Like they just treat everyone in this movie like they're the fucking worst people, and like it's insane. Like WCW paid for this to let people know how fucking stupid they are.
Yes. I can't believe this movie actually made money at the box office.
I don't. Yeah. I'm very surprised.
I mean, it didn't make its money back, but some people paid for it.
Yeah. How much did it end up doing?
I think it was like the budget was $24 million and it made like 12.5. So like it made like about half.
That's better than I thought that it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, apparently there was DDP had pitched an alternate ending of the film Warner Brothers, which was supposed to be that after the Triple Cage match and the end credits are rolling, Jimmy King tells Gordy and Shawn that he would see them at the bar, and then he goes back to the dressing room. DDP would then be waiting for him in the dressing room, and they look like they're going to fight each other, and then they hug each other, and DDP like forgives him for everything that happened and all that. And then,
why would DDP forgive him? He's the asshole. I forgive you for making me be a bad person.
Yeah, I don't know. And then Shawn and Gordy see the dressing room, and they see the both of them being friends. And DDP says, "Welcome to the business. Let's have a drink." And then the ending would happen. It's like, yeah, I would. I could see why they shot this down.
Yeah.
Somehow they didn't shoot down the entire movie, but they shut that down. So there were people actually making decisions, not necessarily the best ones at all times, but there was somebody making decisions.
I mean, even by the standards of the day, this is just a dumb movie. Like,
yes.
It's just, I don't know.
It's a detriment to movies. It's a detriment to comedy. It's a detriment to professional wrestling.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. Like, I kind of expect the only thing I'll ever expect from this movie is maybe one day WWE will do like what they did with Southpaw Regional Wrestling. They'll do like a fake documentary where they treat this as like a real event, and it'll get actual David Arquette because he has nothing better to do, talking about like him in the movie and like all that stuff. Yeah. Like that's the only thing where I'd be like, that'd be the redeeming quality of this movie. If we get like a 10-minute YouTube video of them pretending like the movie's events were real, and they interview like Goldberg and Dave Arquette and like maybe DDP, and they're just like, oh yeah, I remember Jimmy King. Yeah, that was a wild time in wrestling. Thank God Vince McMahon bought WCW and prevented more shenanigans like this from happening.
It would be pretty hilarious.
Jimmy King would probably be dead by that point because, all the alcohol and...
Yeah, I was going to say, like...
Yeah, they never stop him from drinking again. Like, they never resolve his alcoholism. They just...
Yeah, he continues to be, like, a friggin', like, piece of shit. He's just, like, now the champion again. And, like, literally nothing changes. He goes right back to where he was at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they just, like, get him his job back, maybe, in something else. We don't even know if he gets his job back. They, like...
I mean, he's got the $1 million and the belt. I assume they're like, hey, do you want to...
Well, it's a moot point because Titus Sinclair gets fucking mauled by the friggin' he probably doesn't make it.
That's true. I mean, wouldn't this be more of the decision of the network? But then again, if the network definitely didn't care anyway if all of this was happening regardless.
This is where they need like a Ted Turner cameo where he's like, I always liked you, Jimmy King. Thumbs up. He gives another thumbs up. It's like, oh, that explains it.
Yeah,
like
that
Ted
would have
Turner
helped.
had his back.
That actually would have helped.
Yeah, because like Ted Turner never showed up on WCW television, right? Like the one time he shows up is like in the fake movie, and it's just like, yeah.
I think, I don't think he ever showed up on television. I think maybe he had like a short message in like the 80s or early 90s. Maybe like they showed him before it, like once or twice, but he wasn't like on TV. I don't know. But, yeah, it was... I mean, at this point, Ted Turner had basically stepped away from Turner anyway, and it was about to be sold to AOL. Warner, which, like, they didn't want WCW or any wrestling at all, which was why Vince McMahon, like, picked it up at such a cheap price because they couldn't wait to get rid of it.
Yeah, I mean, they bought WCW for, like, what, $3 million, and then Tony Khan buys Ring of Honor for, like, $40 million. Like,
yeah, that makes that was the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like the negotiations went down like as such. I feel like the Ring of Honor people were like, okay, well, WWE wanted to pay about $2 million for our tape library, and well, we're valued at about $750,000 because we don't have any wrestlers, we don't have a ring, we only have letters and a tape library, so. We're only valued at $750,000, and Tony Khan is like, "I'll give you $30 million." And you're like, "What? Okay, fine, 40. Yeah, all right, yeah. 40 is fine."
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
But
I'm about to calculate $3 million on the inflation calculator.
Oh boy,
it's not near 40 million today.
Yeah, I'll tell you that.
Like,
maybe
it's
closer
like
to
double,
10.
like 3 million. Yeah, it'd probably be like 9 or 10 million.
It's about 4.8 million.
Oh, so not even so not even that much.
And Vince McMahon got the letters, he got the tape library, and he got contracts too. Actual wrestlers from this.
Yeah.
I mean, not even
the
good contracts. He got some contracts.
Yeah, exactly. All the good contracts were guaranteed and being paid out regardless.
It's kind of weird. Like, they had WWE Studios. I don't know if they still exist. It's kind of weird. Like, they never did something similar to this movie with that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I'm surprised they didn't try to do something like that. And again,
I didn't think about it. There really wasn't another professional wrestling movie until The Wrestler came out, which was like years later and was a drama. Like, I can't think of any other professional wrestling movies. Oh, wait, maybe I guess like Lucha, what was that, Nacho Libre or whatever?
Yeah, Nacho Libre is pretty funny, actually.
I actually never watched that movie.
Oh, I gotta watch it again. I've actually been quoting it around the house lately, and my fiance has no idea what the hell I'm talking about.
The only thing I remember from Nacho Libre was when like Jack Black did like a dive, and like it's clearly a rope stunt because he like flies like 20 feet.
Yeah.
It's like, all right. But yeah, like it's like weird, like WWE studios. Like you think like if WWE like, oh, we have a movie studio, let's do like a weird wrestling drama. Like maybe not a sequel to this, but like something in a similar vein. It's like no, it's got to be weird cop movies all the time.
I feel like the reason why they haven't done that type of movie is because of this movie. They probably looked at it and said, "This is why we won't do a movie about wrestling."
I mean, I feel like there's like a weird version of this movie. Like we're not gonna get this, but like give Bray if they gave Bray Wyatt like a couple $1 million to do a weird wrestling movie, I feel like we get a better version of this movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe with horror elements thrown in for reasons.
I mean, this movie is a horror movie because like
it's quite bad.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh my god, there's just so much wrong with this movie. But like, maybe there's someone on this roster who could shine this turd up. At least maybe give the Jimmy King character like to someone who looks physically fit.
Yeah, that would help.
And it's just it's like a weird relic too of like this was like now like movies in general. It's like this movie would never like fucking exist. Like WCW was a brand, but like now I feel like a lot of movies like, oh, are you part of like, you know, the MCU? Are you part of DC or Warner? Like, are you a sequel to something? Like, there's no way like people are gonna be like, guys, we're gonna make a movie about a wrestling company and we're gonna commit millions of dollars to it and it's gonna appear in theaters, not on streaming. Like, there's no way this fucking exists in 2022.
Not as like a stupid buddy comedy like this is. Like, you could probably do like another drama like wrestling movie like The Wrestler, but as this was, no, there's no way it would work. It's just
no. I mean, they have that show with Stephen Amell now. That's I don't know if it's good or though.
I think it's called Heels.
Heels, yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's on
I've
Showtime.
heard it's okay.
They also did that movie, that Page biopic, Fighting with My Family or whatever.
That's good. That's a good movie.
I have yet to see that one. I want to.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
I've seen it. It's very good, and it's good enough where I've had non-wrestling fans watch it, and they're like, have you heard of this Page lady? Like, you know? I'm like, yeah. That was like 8 years ago. Like, she's retarded now. They're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I have to explain this whole thing to you now. But yeah, like, that's like a good movie. Like, I feel like that's like the good version of this movie. Like, unknowns trying to make it big as opposed to like, he's the best person ever. He loses. He gets screwed over.
I know. It's so...
And he's not a good person.
It's still unbelievably stupid how he's the best wrestler ever of all time.
Yeah.
Like...
What even are the moves he does? Like,
he just does a punch and a hip toss.
He is Jerry. He's Jerry Lawler.
Yeah, and he does.
Yes,
he does
he's
the
literally
crown.
Jerry Lawler.
Yeah,
who I like Jerry Lawler, but he is far from the best wrestler of all time. So
yeah, Jerry Lawler. In an interview, someone asked him like how he's been able to wrestle for so long, because he does still wrestle time to time, and like his answer has just been, "I have the safest moveset ever," basically. Like,
yeah, and he like doesn't drink, he doesn't do drugs. Like,
right.
he ate a lot of fried chicken until he had a heart attack. But other than that, like, he kept good care of himself.
Yeah, and he always dated women that were much, much younger than him, which maybe that added to his heart stress too. But
I mean, I can see Jimmy King also doing that, considering track record in this movie.
Yes, but yeah, Jerry Lawler he's got all that going for him, and he has the safest moveset in the world. And if you've ever seen any Jerry Lawler match from past to present, nothing, like, he never, like, maybe he slowed down slightly in like speed because he's just gotten older, but his moveset is just punches and kicks. And then he does
and waving to the crowd, being like, yeah.
Yeah, it's just punch, kick, pile driver. like chop from the middle, like the crown basically from the middle rope, and he'll do it and a suplex. That's his entire move set.
Doesn't leave his feet. His opponent barely leaves his feet. Getting power driven into the soft, pillowy thighs of Jerry Lawler.
Yep. There's actually a match from from a long time ago, where it was in a baseball stadium, and it's Jerry Lawler versus Kevin Owens, then Kevin Steen, in a baseball stadium, and it's a pile driver match. So it's whoever hits the pile driver and pins the other guy first wins, but you can't win until somebody hits the pile driver. So it's the package pile driver versus the classic pile driver, and they go for 25 minutes, and it's really entertaining.
Is it better than this movie?
Much.
I'm shocked and appalled.
It's not hard to do.
Yeah, the bar is quite low.
Yeah.
I will say that the bloopers at the end of this movie are pretty entertaining. Yeah. You get to watch Oliver Platt for real accidentally punch Macho Man in the face. Yes. And it's like, how is Macho Man not super upset with this shit?
Well, he apologizes right away, so I think he knew it was an accident, obviously.
Yeah, but I'd still be like, I feel like based on what I hear about Macho Man, you would think he'd be like, man, fuck you, I don't need to be in this fucking movie.
Yeah.
You're gonna punch me in the face.
And he barely is in it. He looks like Bonesaw McGraw. He's basically dressed in the same costume as he is in fucking Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, in his later years, Macho Man started to mellow out a bit.
Yeah. When he started to do rap albums.
Oh
boy.
Christ.
Just like Jimmy King.
Yeah, exactly. I also, Jimmy King's gimmick is the weirdest shit ever, because he's, dressed up like a medieval king, and with, the crown and the scepter and stuff, but then he, talks like Elvis. So it's so confusing, what his gimmick is supposed to actually be.
His outfit reminds me of the D'Lo Brown chest protector. It's got to be a lot of padding.
Yeah, well, because he probably had a huge gut, so they had to make him look in shape when he was actually wrestling. Until you find out that he's just not in shape at all.
I feel Oliver Platt did not train at all for this movie. He's hey, whatever. I'm just going to pull this guy in.
Yeah, get that Chris Canyon kid to be me. We have a similar body type.
Yeah, I mean, they probably didn't tell him that he needed to train. I doubt that anyone on this production took it seriously at all, except maybe David Arquette.
Yeah, he's no Logan Paul in the ring.
Oh, Jesus.
Apparently, David Arquette. Obviously, after this movie came out, WCW wanted to promote it, and they did that by fucking putting the goddamn heavyweight belt on David Arquette, an actor,
with
no wrestling experience at that time.
Yes, which David Arquette had told them that he didn't want to do it, and he wouldn't do it because David Arquette is a wrestling fan through forever.
Yes, and he told Vince Russo no multiple times. And then finally, he convinced him, and he's like, fine, I'll do it. And then it was, obviously one of the worst things ever.
Should have put the bell on Scott Cab, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, in the David Arquette documentary, in the beginning, he's, constantly lamenting over, why he, even did that at all. Because, blaming, he's, saying that for, 10 years, he would go to auditions, and they would take one look at him and they would be like, oh, wait, you're the guy who did the wrestling thing. Oh, sorry. They just wouldn't get, he just wasn't getting the part at all. For 10 years, he just, didn't do anything in his marriage to Courtney Cox, involved in everything. And he was I can't, he couldn't get past it. And then he would go to a wrestling show and everyone hated him because they were you killed WCW. And he was you don't understand. I didn't want to do this, and I hate myself for doing this. So that's that's the main reason why he decides to actually train to be a pro wrestler. You got to watch You Can't Kill David Arquette. It's
It's phenomenal. Like I said at the beginning,
it's one of the best documentaries that I've ever watched.
There's some hokey shit in it, but like when it gets real, I was just like, holy shit!
Oh yeah,
like,
the Nick Gage thing is nuts. That even got in there.
I mean, the first 20 minutes is like hard to watch, like the shit they talk about and like show, but like the Nick Gage shit. Like I remember my dad walked into that. And like he's like, is this real? I'm like, oh no, it's like wrestling stuff. He's like, no, I think he's really hurt. I'm like, oh yeah. I guess he really is.
You were watching it live. Okay.
No, like I was watching the documentary, and like the documentary footage. Yeah, like documentary footage was like, I was like, oh, like he's fine, it's okay. And my dad's like, people don't bleed like that unless they're seriously hurt. I'm like, all right. I guess it's worse than I thought.
Yeah, he almost died that night.
Yeah. But yeah, it's fucking
like just shot on him and like stabbed him with a light tube in the neck. Yeah, Luke Perry, may rest in peace, had was there and drove him to the hospital.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a bonkers watch. Like
he's just a fucking menace.
Yeah, I don't know how that guy is still alive. Honestly, the Dark Ring episode on him is crazy.
Yeah,
that's another separate podcast.
Yes, there's too much to be said on this guy, or just crazy, or like legit crazy wrestlers. Would probably be the episode. That could go on for a while.
Yeah, that's going to be a multi-part series. But yeah, like, yeah, we're beating the bush around here, but yeah, this movie fucking sucks. Like we're talking about, like, oh, like that. This is good. Like David Arquette, like he's actually good. He's a nice guy. Like, we all love him. All these WCW guys, like, they're forced into this. Like, but man, this fucking sucked. Like, it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't a fun version of sucking. It was just like, man, no one's a good guy coming out of this.
No.
Like this, it's just, everyone's covered in poop. And there's no toilet. There's no TP truck to give us a sign from God that we should meet our heroes.
Yeah,
it's quite atrocious as any form of cinema. Yeah. It is one of those movies where you cringe watch, or you just watch with your friends and you're like, I can't believe that. This is the nothing's on. What's that?
No, not even that. Like the 5.3 user review on IMDb, that seems generous. Like I wouldn't wish this upon my friends.
Well, I mean, if you know IMDb ratings, that's actually pretty low for IMDb. So there's a lot of bad movies that are actually highly rated by IMDb users. So
yeah, like that's one thing. Like, are people giving this? Are they review bombing it like 10 stars for some reason? Like, no, don't waste that effort on this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it has a 52% audience score.
That's too much. Like,
yeah, I feel I would be surprised if there's 5-star reviews, but I am seeing a couple of like 3s there.
Apparently, the San Francisco Examiner gave it a 63 out of 100. I don't know how.
Yeah,
I would give this 3 sounds good. Like, on occasion, I had fun, but like, basically, like the 3 out of 10 is when they're doing fake episodes of Nitro, where it's like, maybe I should just watch an actual episode of Nitro.
Yeah,
I would give this movie 2 stars. Yeah, one guy gave this 3 stars because it has Sid in it.
Yeah, there you go. It's like, yeah, one of my favorite wrestlers growing up is in this. Yeah,
actually,
Sting is in it.
No, there is a 5-star rating. The best wrestling movie ever made in 20 years still holds up in the laugh department.
No, that guy
classic.
That's fucking Vince Russo.
That guy
got depressed watching The Wrestler.
This guy definitely, he had to have either trolled or he's either trolling or he has to be from Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Yeah, he's just like, man, the wrestler made me sad, so I'm gonna go with this.
This fucking movie makes me sad.
Yeah, I would rather watch the Scooby Doo WrestleMania movies because that could be fun.
Yeah.
Yes, this movie does make me embarrassed fan. It is one of the movies where you clearly watch when there's nothing to do. When there's less than nothing to do, you watch this.
Yeah.
It is
honestly, I would rather watch paint dry than watch this movie again.
Yeah, if you're watching it with your friends,
fall asleep.
Yeah, if you're watching it with your friends, it's like it can be fun. All of you laughing at how bad this is, but it is not so bad that it's beautiful. It is just very bad.
Just bad.
Yeah,
it's boring. It's fucking cliche. It's cliched as shit. Like if you've seen any late '90s like raunchy comedy, you've seen this movie.
Oh yeah,
this just has a wrestling angle tacked onto it.
I'd rather just watch the music video for My Own Worst Enemy by Lit, which appears like multiple times in this fucking movie.
Yes.
I mean, that's probably a better time or better use of my time if I'm like, I missed 2000. Like, I'll just watch this fucking music video. I'm sure it's great. Maybe. At least it's not an hour and 45 minutes.
Well, that's how long this podcast is, so I guess we might as well call it. Ready to Rumble is a pretty crappy movie, and I don't have any other closing statements. We want it so that you don't have to. If you're morbidly curious, it's free to watch on YouTube with ads.
I don't think it is anymore, because I looked it up, and it was rent or buy on YouTube now.
Oh, crap.
So they must have changed it.
Well, they knew we were watching this.
So I would not recommend renting or buying. Don't spend your hard-earned money on this movie.
Yes,
like
I would strongly advise that you do not ever pay to watch this.
We are part of the Patreon now of every wrestling podcast or YouTuber has to talk about this movie. Just listen to us talk about it. Watch other people talk about it. Don't actually watch it.
Unless you can get it for free, don't watch it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
There's so many people who talk about this movie, now including us. Just re-listen to us talk about it if you really want to watch it.
Yes, many fine young individuals gave their time and lives for this movie so that you don't have to watch it. We are goddamn heroes.
Yeah. It's probably made its money back via people having to review this movie because they have a wrestling YouTube channel and or podcast.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, this has been Why Does This Exist? For each and every one of you who have stuck with us this long, thank you. We appreciate you. We hope you enjoyed your WrestleMania weekend. And we hope to God that you never watch this movie. I'm Chris.
And I'm Rob.
And I'm Spaceman Frank.
And remember, question everything.
Good night, everybody.